Hello again. During this video, we'll be looking at and exploring the strategies and team cohesion that an athlete may use when competing in MOBAs. However, before we discuss that, some of you may be asking, what is a MOBA? MOBA stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena. Primarily, players fight in two teams versus one another in an arena usually comprised of lanes. The aim is to work as a team to fight through the lanes and destroy the opposing team's structure. Some of the most notable MOBAs are League of Legends, Dota 2, Heroes of Storm, Smite, and Paladins. MOBAs have typically been the most popular genre of game within the esports community, bringing in millions of prize pool money that, interestingly, fans can increase while playing the game just by buying in-game items. Now that we have an understanding of what MOBAs are and how they are played, we can begin to break down some strategies. As mentioned, MOBAs usually consist of lanes within the map. Some roles or classes perform better in those certain lanes. Our game of focus will be League of Legends, as it's currently the most popular within the genre. There are so many playable characters in League, too many to talk about. However, they all fit into particular roles. Let's gain an understanding of those roles. Ranged. These are straightforward for the most part. They hit hard and from a distance, but usually have a low amount of health. If you've played a ranged class in any other game before, they follow the same theme. Melee. Another simple class that follows the stereotypes, hits hard, usually in bursts, more health than ranged, less than tanks, but it needs to be up close and personal, putting the player at more risk. Tanks. A lot of health, a lot of armor, steady but low damage. Typically, these are melee classes as well, since they need to absorb the brunt of the enemy's attacks. Support. These are the toughest class to play. Most of these characters have abilities that will aid their team, but this often leaves them with low attack, health, or sometimes both. A good support player can change the game completely, but unless you are playing on a team with people you know, they can be nearly impossible to play well. Now, a side role that the range and melee classes can contribute towards is the jungler. These characters typically don't choose a lane, but instead will run through the map, killing some of the randomly generated jungle creeps that award the team gold or experience. These players will also gank champions who venture off alone, or try to escape after a fight. Okay, so now we understand the roles, let's discuss the phases of the game. The opening phase. The opening phase begins when the match starts, and ends when the creeps or minions reach the middle of each lane. The phase consists of two main tasks: buying your opening items and performing role allocation. Optionally, there may be pickoffs, which are level 1 team fights or jungle invasions, creeping behind the enemy team to catch them off guard early. However, this only typically happens in higher ranked games. The laning phase. The laning phase starts when the creeps reach the middle of each lane. It consists of mostly staying in the lane, trying to collect the maximum number of resources as possible. These resources come mainly from executing last hits on an enemy minion that come into your lane. This is generally known as farming. The mid-game. This is where the real action takes place, and it's also where players start to implement their strategy. There are three main strategies within MOBAs that are used to secure victory. These are the team fight strategy. Consists of focusing the game in getting strategic advantage through defeating the enemy in a series of group fights. The team implementing this strategy usually have a team hero setup similar to that of a football formation. Players place heroes with strong traits in certain formations to gain an advantage, like high armor, high health hero at the front, with a low health but very high damage ranged hero slightly behind. The idea is that the tank takes the brunt of the damage, allowing the ranged fighter to send waves of spells to defeat the enemy team. The pickoff strategy. This is the action of selecting a vulnerable or weak hero and trying to kill it. Normally, this strategy focuses on defeating the enemy by picking important heroes and killing them to obtain an advantage, or weakening the main hero in the group. That can grant an advantage in the team fights, or lead to gank the enemy heroes one by one. By doing this, this opens a way to the victory. Lastly, the lane push strategy. The lane push strategy has the objective of picking the lane and pushing it as hard as possible, destroying all the structures on the path through the lane to the base. This kind of strategy has many smaller strategies within it. Three of the most common are split push, sieging, and team push. In essence, your teams to choose a lane to push through, forcing the opposing team to retaliate, letting you take advantage of their now weakened side. By the time the mid-game is through, one of the teams will be noticeably stronger, usually granting them an easy victory. However, that's not to say that teams have never come back from near defeat. Thank you for listening to our intro to Moba strategy. Good luck in your next battle.